So today you're going to hear from a few teachers, a few members of our union. You're going to hear from Mary Beth, our union president, and I hope that you can sort of understand, and I'm speaking now largely to the public, because I think teachers get it, that you can understand what this classroom view really looks like. All right, Mary Beth, you want to step up?
Backwards. I did it backwards. I'm doing it wrong. I started it wrong. All right. This is very scary to me as a mom, but I'm also a resource specialist. So that means that I am going to walk into this room with this educator and these students. And then at some other point during the day, an art specialist is going to come in. And at another point during the day, a music specialist is going to come in, and a library media specialist is going to come in, and a music specialist is going to come in, and then we're going to go, and we're going to go into other classrooms that look like that. Does that sound like a stable group to anyone? No. These children are also going to leave this classroom and go on to different buses. And each one of those buses is going to have 15 other students on it. And those 15 other students are going to go home to 15 different homes with a various number of people in them. Does that sound like a stable group to you? No. Well, that's the governor's definition of stable groups for teachers. But 15 is the maximum number of folks that you can have for a social gathering. Upwards of 29, and I don't know where she gets her math from, but this is already 26 plus 1 is 27. Me as a resource teacher is 28. Art, music, phys ed, a TA, library media specialist, I think we're a little bit above 29. I mean, I'm not a math teacher, I'm an English teacher, but I think we're above 29 folks. And it's not a stable group. Not sure why they think that lying to the public to reopen schools is going to work. I also don't know why the governor thinks that 1 week she says that we're going to do investigations and inspections of the schools, and the very next week they turn into walkthroughs. And they change the language on the tool that they're using to do this action. Now, I don't know about you, but when I take my car for an inspection, I don't expect the person who's doing the inspection to open the hood, give it a look-see, close the hood, and say, you're good to go. Not when I'm putting myself and my child in that car. But we're not talking about just me. We're talking about 26,000 families. 2,000 teachers and their families who will be impacted by these decisions. All because you said we're fully reopening schools and you don't want to take it back. What people fail to realize is I still have friends all over the state. And what I know about these inspections is that they're going into comprehensive high schools and saying, show me your best 2 classes, checking off the boxes and leaving. That's not, to me, an inspection, nor is it a walkthrough. Because, I don't know about you, but we've all been through walkthroughs, haven't we? We've all had boxes checked in walkthroughs, haven't we? They've been a little bit more comprehensive than show me the best that you've got, I'll check off the boxes and I'll leave, haven't they? Yeah. You've gotten a little bit better feedback than you're good. Have a nice day. I'm leaving. This is not a joke, folks. Of our 41 schools, how many of them do you actually believe are ready for our children and us to be in for 6.5 hours next Monday? There may be some classrooms that you could properly socially distance in. Some classrooms, not all. How many schools do you think have water that you can have your children drink from during the school day?
Zero.
But rest assured, folks, they got all those box fans delivered the other day. That's above and beyond, right? Above and beyond. You saw the commercial. They were all donned in their suits, spraying down the best and the brightest schools. I can tell you this. I went to have lunch at a desk the other day, and the grime that came off the desk, that desk hasn't been cleaned since March 13th. You're not going to tell me different. And I guarantee you, if we pulled everybody in here, your rooms haven't been touched since March 13th. And if you have, good, I'm glad. But let's call it what it is.
Yes.
Those commercials were just that, a commercial. This isn't about us not wanting to go back to school.
Not at all.
We want to go back to school. We want to see our kids. But we don't want to risk our safety and the safety of our families and our children and their families' safety. Our children deserve better than that. We deserve better than that.
Yes.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Everybody talks about equity. Equity. That's all I've heard about since they've gotten here. Right? And Helica talks about equity. Yes, we want equity too. How is it equitable that every single one of our elementary school children is going to be in these schools when in other districts they're doing hybrid? When other districts have said, no, this isn't good enough for our kids. Our kids deserve better. How is that equity? Show me the equity when you don't engage the union who asked you on May 8th to include teachers, parents, community, and students in the planning of re-entry to schools in September, and you are so angry that the union had the audacity to tell you who to put on these committees that you didn't even bother to call back. You didn't even bother to include them in the plan. Tell me how that's good for kids. So rather than include the union, or any teacher, or parents, or children, or our students, or our student leaders, you come up with a plan in which you pay a company to default and provide education for high school students that is a completely online program where our educators will simply be a touch point for our students. Yet, you have the audacity to say that we don't make connections with our kids. Well, we can't make connections with our kids if they're engaged online all day with a computer. So you sold our children's education at the high school level to a program because you refused to work with, plan with, and engage with the very people who could provide education for your children. There are 2 flyers over there, 2 one-pagers, right? How do we keep our children safe? And then another one that explains the pillars. There are things that we're going to be able to do, we're going to be asking other folks to do. Share it with your teachers, share it with your teacher friends, share it with your colleagues across the state, other parents, your community members, students that you all have relationships with. Whatever we have to do to reopen as safely as possible, we're going to do. And as far as Edgenuity goes, stay tuned, because there's a national article coming out based on research that we did in Providence when I found out that that's what they were offering our kids. Because mediocre isn't good enough. Outsourcing